Abraham ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. In the tradition of Eastern hospitality, Abraham brought them water so they could wash their feet, and had Sarah and his servants prepare food for the visitors. Abraham set food before them, and they ate. They said to him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "There, in the tent." Then one said, "I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." The men then set out for Sodom, and Abraham went with them to show them the way. As the men turned and headed for Sodom, Abraham remained and spoke to the Lord. The Lord explained to Abraham that there was a great outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah for their wickedness and sin, and he had come to judge them. Abraham then fulfilled God's promise that he would be a blessing even to other nations. He stood before God and questioned his decision to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. If there was even a small number of God-fearing people, could not the sinners be saved? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then destroy the place? And the Lord responded to Abraham, "If I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will forgive the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham continued to bargain with God. "Will you destroy the whole city if you find 45 righteous people?" God answered, "No." Abraham persisted. "How about 40? How about 30? How about 20? And then, perhaps remembering he was indeed arguing with the Almighty, "Oh, do not let the Lord be angry if I speak just once more. Suppose 10 are found there." Abraham's argument convinced the Lord, and the Lord promised Abraham, "For the sake of 10 righteous, I will not destroy it." And the Lord went up from Abraham. That evening, as the two angels arrived in Sodom, Lot, Abraham's nephew, was sitting in the gateway. He greeted them and urged them to wash and rest and feast in his home, which they did. But before they could lie down to rest, all the men of the city, young and old, surrounded the house and shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may know them." Lot stood his ground and confronted the crowd and said, "I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Look, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof." But the mob would have none of that. "Stand back," they yelled. "This fellow came here as an alien, and he would play the judge? Now we will deal worse with you than with them." Then they pressed hard against Lot, and came near the door to break it down. But the angels of the Lord stood before the crowd, and they struck with blindness the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, so that they were unable to find the door. Then the angels of the Lord told Lot the outcry against Sodom had become great before the Lord. "Take your family out of this place, for we are about to destroy it." When morning dawned, the angels once again urged Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters, or else you will be consumed in the punishment of the city." When they were outside, the angels said, "Run for your life, flee to the hills, and do not look back or stop anywhere in the plain. For if you look back, you will perish." Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from out of heaven, and he destroyed those cities, and all the plain, and all their inhabitants, and everything that grew on the ground. Lot, his daughters, and his wife struggled to escape. But Lot's wife, behind him, could not resist the temptation. She looked back and became a pillar of salt.